everybody. Welcome to Prep Talk Live. Prep Talk. Sometimes it's been a couple of weeks, and you think maybe it should have just been another week. Maybe we should have just gone like a little longer, and maybe that would have been a good idea. Welcome to Prep Talk Live. I don't know why I can't talk. This has just been a long couple of weeks, apparently, and it just has not actually gotten any better. I'm Casey with Cascadia Dispatch. Kind of missing tonight is Tup, the urban prepper. I'm not sure if he's going. As some of you may have noticed, we have not been on the last couple of weeks. We traded some emails. He was traveling. I was dealing with family issues and family stuff that was kind of thrust upon us with schedules and getting kids to start school. We had back to school nights. We had play rehearsals. We had choir rehearsals. We've had homecoming dances. We've had all kinds of things. And those ended up kind of taking priority. And then as I would move my schedule, Tup was moving his schedule. So sadly, the last 2 weeks has just not worked. I was hoping that tonight would work. I have not heard from Tup yet today. And so I didn't want to go a third week without coming on and saying hi to everybody. He may join us. He may not. If he doesn't, then we'll hopefully be able to do a dual episode or a duet as normal next week. But I did want to jump on because obviously there is a lot going on. Yeah, see, everybody in the chat understands. Life is life sometimes. And as much as Tup and I feel like, we want to do this and everything else, we all recognize that this is a fun thing for us. This is a hobby, and family stuff and real life stuff, especially with little kids and everything, has to come first and be the priority. So we jump on here as much as we can. We appreciate you all for jumping on when we say that we're going to have a show. Whether or not we actually have one seems to be kind of a up in the air sort of a question, but we do the best we can. Anyway, thank you. See, Pony Girl, you guys are so wonderful. It's so nice. Pony Girl always has fun with. We try. I was thinking about maybe like outsourcing to the call map with my voice, just very melodic and all of that. But we'll see. Anyway, so obviously there is a ton going on in the world right now, and I don't want to have this episode be like a fearful thing. I've seen, like, anybody who is in the prepping world or just watching the news or alive and on any social media anywhere, like, there's wars happening and airstrikes and shipping port strikes, and there was the debate and the election and the hurricane. Oh my goodness, the hurricane. We're sending all of our best thoughts. We know that there are people who watch this on replays, North Carolina, Georgia, up and down the Gulf Coast and everything. So whenever there's a hurricane, we send extra thoughts and prayers that direction. And hopefully they are all starting to get some supplies, and I've seen a lot of hopeful videos, at least of just evacuations of getting people out. Some of the videos have just been awful, of watching like whole towns and cities just disappearing, which happens with these natural disasters. But I'm hopeful that starting to see some of the people getting out, especially in areas where there were bridges washed away and roads washed away and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of, with that in mind, what I was hoping to have this episode be, and Pony Girl, I appreciate you recognizing the excitement that is happening behind me, all the new things. I have a new robot DJ, by the way. This is my droid DJ. We got him when we were in Disneyland this last trip. He's actually like a Bluetooth speaker, and he dances around and stuff. It's super cool. Silly things that you do when you have like adult money and you find fun stuff, and you're like, well, of course I need a droid DJ in my office. That makes sense. Also, for everybody who sees the Optimus Prime, we have now added Bumblebee, but he is actually up there, so I don't know that you can see him. But Bumblebee is now in the house, so we're filling out the Transformers. There's some more stuff that we are working on and building, but more to come on that sort of thing. But yeah, so what I really wanted tonight to be was to just be a reminder to everyone who, assuming you're not affected in dealing with a natural disaster right now, because obviously that's a thing. I know Sutton's Days has been posting about kind of impending chaos over the next month and a half or so as we head toward November. I know that I've seen a lot of people posting about the dock worker strike that's happening on the East Coast and what that could mean for supply chains and store shelves and all of that sort of stuff. I feel like this is just a good reminder that sometimes we get a little relaxed as preparedness people or people who are new to it. Well, let me rephrase that. I feel like there are two things that happen. One is these sorts of disasters have new people get really excited and they are like, oh my goodness, what do I need to do so this I can avoid this in the future? I would invite all of those people then to start kind of watching our videos. Tup's videos, obviously. I've got some videos from kind of starting your preparedness journey on YouTube. Sutton's Days has a bunch of videos. Sustainable Prepping has a bunch of videos. There are bigger prepper channels that are out there. Those tend to be a little more fear inspiring. So I would recommend those the channels that I did just because they tend to be a little less fearful and a little more practical in their approach to, hey, here's how you get ready as a normal person. You can start with the 2-week stock up, go to a 1-month stock up or a 4-week stock up. Start thinking about things like short-term, medium-term, and long-term preparedness of whether you're going to bug in an emergency, bugging out in an emergency. What are your primary reasons for having an emergency? Are you in hurricane land? For us, it's wildfires, it's earthquakes. In the Midwest, it might be tornadoes, it might be snowstorms. So what are those kind of natural disasters that likely would lead to an emergency, and kind of plan for what that would look like? And usually if you plan for that, then the smaller everyday emergencies in life kind of get covered by the same thing. So you end up, a power outage from a blackout. Maybe there's a little bit of financial insecurity with a job. We've seen lots of layoffs lately. If you're kind of preparing for those bigger things, some of those other smaller things will get taken up with the same materials. The same food you would use in a snowstorm is the same food you would use if there's a power outage or if you were laid off and needed to stretch food for a little while or something like that. So I would recommend, I think I have a playlist on my channel called Starting Your Preparedness Journey. I know Tup has a bunch of videos on starting stuff. Sutton's Days has a bunch of stuff on starting stuff. So would recommend checking all of that out if you're new to preparedness. For those of us who've been doing this for a little while, I feel like we tend to get a little relaxed and a little kind of comfortable in having had some preparedness, feeling like we have our plans, feeling like we have all of that stuff. And these are the moments, especially when you're not in the middle of them, that I think are good reminders to check all your stuff. Go back through your pantries in your garage and make sure you actually have the things that you think that you have. It's very easy to have stock, especially if you're doing like a rotating pantry scenario where you've got food that you would normally eat, but maybe you have 6 or 12 months worth of it, and you're eating through it and restocking with new stuff and kind of working on a 6-month or a 12-month cadence through some of the things that you would normally eat. It's very easy to forget. We have a toilet paper stash. I watched the video that Tup did on how many rolls of toilet paper people need for a year theoretically. And his equation was basically you need one of the Costco packages of toilet paper. I don't remember if it was for 6 months or for a year. I think it was per person. So we have a bunch of toilet paper in our garage for our family of 4 plus a couple of extra people. And we tend to keep it up on a really high shelf just because we're not planning on using it a whole lot. We do keep some of it on kind of an intermediate shelf. And depending on when we're going to Costco, have been known to kind of eat into that middle shelf supply. If we haven't gone to Costco in a month or so, tends to go on sale. So, usually we'll wait until it goes on sale to get a few of them, or they take up a lot of room in the cart. So maybe we didn't get it on this trip because we were getting a bunch of food. We didn't have room in the cart. We're going to get it the next time. But it's always important to make sure that we go back and we stock that back up at a certain point. We might eat into a little bit, but we never let it get to a certain point of reduction. And I think that's a thing to be mindful of in these moments is which batteries have we dug into in the battery drawer that maybe we weren't planning on? Or, do we have all of the water bottles that we would like? We always are using them for practices or, hey, we're going to a friend's house, grab some. We're going to a concert, grab some. We're going out, grab some. Making sure that we've gone back and actually replenished that stock. So we have, some to use it, but we've also got the back stock. If you've got gasoline, making sure that you have enough of that and it's fresh. I did get the electric gas pump to go with the new gas cans that I've got. I have not yet tested it. That is on my agenda for the next couple of weeks. I'm actually going to test it with water first just to see if I can get the suction right. And then we'll test it with gasoline. But I'll take a video of that and show that off. People are showing them on TikTok all over the place, but they tend to be kind of showing them saying, hey, this is what it is. I actually want to see if I can get video of it actually using it. So we'll get there at some point. But yeah, food, water, batteries, making sure that your charging packs are always charged. We are forever, especially with 2 kids, finding half charged or uncharged charging packs all over the house, even though I try to keep them in a little drawer. And we have a rule that if you use it, then you have to charge it. They never get charged. And so I'm constantly finding those and trying to plug them in. This is a good reminder to go around your house and make sure that you've got all of them and that they're all charged. Make sure that you've got some cash available to you. A lot of people we were watching on the videos are being evacuated out with kind of whatever they can carry. And for a very long time, there was no Wi-Fi or cell service or phone service. You can't buy anything with a credit card if you can't use a credit card machine, and those run on phone lines, cell lines, Wi-Fi. So if you can't do that, then the only way that you're going to be able to get food, water, shelter, supplies, any of that sort of stuff is with actual physical cash. So go to the bank this week sometime, get some, small denominations, some mid-sized denominations. You don't want to have tons at your house because if there's a fire or something, that's not a good thing. And you don't want to be a target for a burglary or whatever. But you should have a little bit of cash in some places. So if you need it, you can go and get supplies and make sure that things happen. For us, a lot of what we're talking about, and one of the reasons that we don't do a lot with precious metals and things is our kind of emergency plan is for an earthquake. Well, if there's an earthquake, our immediate area is going to have a difficult time, and we're going to need cash to get from where we are to where we're going or to buy supplies. But the rest of the world will still be existing. If there's some awful asteroid or something, then it won't really matter, or there's a big EMP or something, we got problems. But as long as some area of the country, some server somewhere is existing, then likely we will be able to have access to more financial resources once we get to wherever we're going. You just got to have enough to get to where we're going. And I think that is an important thing, is to make sure that you've got some, for a tank of gas, you need a hotel room for a night, food while you're walking, water, anything like that you would need as you're trying to evacuate, I think is really important. And until you can get to a credit card or a debit card, something that will actually read that, I think that's important. Stock up on paper plates. Paper plates, plastic silverware, knives, forks, spoons, straws, maybe cups. Having those red Solo cups are fantastic because you can use them for so many things. You can use them as a cup. You can use them as a bowl. You can use them to hold stuff. Like you can use them to actually make different things. If you needed to create some sort of a filter, water filter with sand or something, you can use it for that. So all of those things are really great supplies to have. Also, when you're talking about the weather things, tarps, duct tape. I saw somebody using like Flex Seal makes a flood protectant that's designed supposedly to hold back flood water. Unfortunately, the person that was doing it, there was too much flood water, and nothing worked, unfortunately, for them. But it was an interesting idea. I think they make actually like a sheet of it that you can put on. This person was using like the spray on, so maybe if you use the sheet, it might have been better. I see people using they're like instant sandbags. So they're sandbags, and the sand in them actually expands when they get wet. So they collapse down to store, and then when you need them, you get them wet, lay them out, and then they expand, and then they make a wall. And then when they dry out after the storm, then you can pack them away and store them. So if you are by a body of water or close to a body of water, excuse me, that would be a thing to definitely think about. I don't really just want to store a lot of sandbags, but at least being aware of that as an option. In general, just really kind of taking this moment to either get started on your preparedness journey or think about where you should be, and making sure that you're actually on that course. I think are really, really important. Let me just look. Making sure you write down phone numbers in case that is a really great suggestion, pigs fly. Definitely make sure you've got some sort of a paper record of important numbers if you don't have them. I was actually building kind of a little Google Sheet template thing for like emergency contact numbers and stuff. There's a ton of them that exist. Mine was going to be blue and green, but I mean, there's lots of them that you can find. I would recommend, if you want me to make one, let me know in the comments and I'll make one. Otherwise, you can just Google search contact forms. But having something that you can print out, but also have available in the cloud. So if maybe you have some that you take with you that are for specific emergencies, but when you get to the place you're going, you are going to want to know your insurance company number. You're going to know doctors. You're going to need to transfer prescriptions, maybe, or something like that. You might have a more exhaustive list that you've got on online somewhere outside of your phone in case your phone gets broken or damaged or swept away in a river. There's lots of different things that can happen. But having those records available and online, I think, is key. I think I've mentioned before, we've digitized most of our documents. I scan everything that looks like it could be important for our family and keep it locked away and encrypted just in case we ever do need to evacuate or we do need something and I can't get it here, the paper's gone, or it's not available, then I can always access it remotely and have whatever we need. If it's an insurance policy, if it's kids, doctors, record for some reason, or like, we've got all of that stuff available to us, as well as family pictures. And that's kind of obviously a more personal thing for everybody, but I've really worked on trying to get our family pictures, the paper ones specifically. All the digital ones are, they're digital. But taking the old family photos that are paper, especially the older ones, the black and white ones from grandfather, grandparents and great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents, making sure that we digitize those so in case there is a flood or a fire or something, we have access to those. Bonus is that if you do that work, you also can then use it in life really well. So like, we share those albums with our relatives, with my siblings, with cousins. We were actually doing a walk for the CJD Foundation over the weekend, which is the disease that took my mom. And my cousins were in from out of town, and we were talking about some old family events. And I was able to pull out my phone and go online and find all of these old photos from when we were all babies, with my grandmother, who is no longer with us, with some relatives that we don't really talk to as much, but kind of being able to pull up all of these photos that none of my cousins had seen because they don't have them in their family albums, and we were able to talk about all of that and share that stuff. So family pictures, family videos, all of that stuff. It's a headache to do it, but when you talk about a natural disaster or something, those are the things that life will go on theoretically, and you can keep those and save that sort of stuff. So I would definitely recommend doing that. I'm just trying to look at the chat. The chat is always more entertaining than the live show. I mean, let's be honest. Yeah, Utah Mike says make sure to have an out-of-state contact. 100%, that's a great one. You want to make sure that you've got someone who can coordinate, especially if phone things are down in your area, or if you're trying to coordinate with multiple people and you can't communicate directly. Having somebody who can communicate on your behalf is fantastic. We've got the InReach, the Garmin InReach GPSs that have the satellite connectivity. They actually just changed their plans around. So I'm still looking into what the new plans are, but supposedly they're supposed to be a little less expensive and a little easier to use and upgrade. But we have those so that we can communicate with our out-of-state contact, but then also so that we can communicate to the out-of-state contact to log into our account and change from our standard plan to an unlimited plan so that we can communicate with them. And also, one of the fun features that those Garmin have is that you can communicate unit to unit. So you can communicate to a phone via text message, or you can send an email, but the Garmins actually allow you to communicate from Garmin to Garmin on their network. So it will allow us in the area, my family, to communicate with each other and coordinate locally using the satellite messaging service, as opposed to just relying on the out-of-state contact. But the out-of-state contact is key. Let's see. Yeah. So yeah, batteries, meds, absolutely. Oh, Kaylin says some people we use seeds that go in the solo cups for starting seeds. Yes, we actually do that each year when we start our seeds. Let me back that up. In the years where I plan ahead enough to actually start seeds, we have used the red solo cups to do that, and they work amazingly well. When you don't plan ahead, you get to pay the I didn't plan ahead tax, which is buying the starts and paying for the extra for that, which is not nearly as much fun as buying the seeds for 1/100th of the cost. But those red solo cups were fantastic for that, and you can write what the plant is on the side. They drain really well. So yeah, those are awesome for that. And you could technically reuse them each year if you wanted to. Ours tend to like break and crack often, so we usually don't. We just recycle them. But you could also keep them depending on the situation that you're in. People don't keep. Yeah, power stations, AA batteries. So absolutely AA batteries, AAAs. Make sure you just got batteries for the things that you would need with batteries. There's a lot of things that one item might make a 9-volt battery, or one item might require a D-cell battery. If you're not going to really use that thing, or you've got enough coverage with other stuff, then I would try and actually stick with one kind of battery and just get a lot of that, because you're going to use it in more things, as opposed to having whole packages of these kind of specialty batteries. We're in the process of kind of trying to, as new things come up, standardize on USB-C for power inputs, and AA or AAA for battery items. And that way we can kind of focus on those connecting cables and those chargers and those power adapters and things like that, and not have tons and tons and tons of cords and random batteries and batteries that are expiring and all that sort of stuff. Someone mentioned handheld protection. Yes, handheld protection, whether that be some sort of a spray or a really, really aggressive flashlight or something. 100% yes, making sure that you have that available, making sure that it's in working order, that it hasn't expired, that you have the appropriate the appropriate things to go in them. I'm trying not to get demonetized or struck here, so go with me on the analogy. Somebody called them freedom seeds the other day. So making sure that you have enough of those seeds to be able to, protect your family, protect your resources, and protect yourself if you have to travel. That's another area too where you can think about kind of being more uniform, is making sure that we have very similar size seeds. We've kind of standardized on a couple of seed types, and then we have the really aggressive flashlights that are all similar as well. So we're not trying to figure out different types of firearms or anything like that. Like we have the same type, we have the same sizes, we have the same styles. The holsters are the same. The straps are the same. The lights are the same. The lasers are the same. The sights are the same. So it just makes it a little bit easier and a little more straightforward if you've got some commonality in those things. Let's see. Generators, yeah, that would be a good thing. And then I think the last thing that I would throw out too, and this is, if you've been watching this channel and stream for a while or whatever, I tend to be a little more, I enjoy more of the financial, I don't know what the paperworky kind of prepping is. We need to come up with a word, like, I don't know, like prepper work or paperwork. I don't know, something. We'll come up with a word. But the paperwork of prepping. So make sure that you call your insurance agent this week and just double check everything. Make sure that you've got the right type of coverage. There are a lot of people who are in the hurricane zone now where they're having stories of, hey, we had insurance, but we didn't have flood coverage, or we had limited flood coverage. And a lot of the water damage is being classified as flood and not as, the water damage you would get with standard homeowners insurance. So I would encourage you, call your agent, go through your current coverages and make sure that you have all the right things. If you are renting, make sure you have a renter's policy that covers all of the items that are in your house. There have been some fires in our area where the apartment complex was on fire, and the people that were there didn't have the right renting insurance, and they lost everything, and they don't have anything to they don't have anything to go back to. They don't have anything to start with. So making sure that you have either renter's insurance if you are renting, or you have a good comprehensive homeowners policy with liability protection, with natural disaster protection if it's available and you can get it, especially as these natural disasters kind of keep happening more and more. I would definitely encourage you looking at it. We have earthquake insurance for us. If I was in the Midwest, I'd be looking at tornado insurance or something like that. I'd probably be looking at hurricane insurance or flood insurance if I was living in the Southeast, if that's even available. I know a lot of areas, certain insurance types aren't even available. So definitely look at that. And also make sure that your coverages are appropriate. I am not an insurance agent, adjuster. I know nothing about insurance other than the things that I know about insurance. I'm not a professional insurance person. But we went through this process about a year ago where we went through with our insurance agent every line of the coverage to make sure, especially because of the way that insurance coverages are broken out. You might say, oh, I have a $500,000 policy, that would be great. Unless you have a collection maybe of certain items, and that might have a limit. If you go down in your policy and look, most of the items, item types, have like a total limit. And if you have more than that, let's say you have more clothes, let's say you have some gold and silver at your house, there will likely be a limit for coins and currency in your policy. And that's the max that policy would pay out on that type of thing, above and beyond maybe whatever the total policy is. So go through that and make sure that you've got all of those things line items, so you don't, in a natural disaster, think you're covered and then find out, oh wait, actually not so much. I actually don't have enough to cover furniture, or I don't have enough to cover clothes, or I don't have the right kinds of coverage if I need to get an apartment while we're rebuilding the house. And maybe I'm in an apartment for 6 months while we're rebuilding, but your coverage is only for a couple months or something. So make sure that you know what that is and just go through it. Make sure that it's covered. It's not a fun way to spend, an hour, but it's really important, especially when you see the devastation that can happen. And then after the fact, hearing the stories of people who thought they had the right insurance and didn't know, maybe their agent didn't even know about that insurance. So it may also be worth talking to your current agent, but also there's no harm in calling another agent and just getting a second opinion. I am a massive proponent when it comes to anything financial, insurance related, any of that sort of stuff, taxes, accounting, anything, getting a second opinion. I have a really great team of people who have helped us with estate planning, with tax stuff, with financial planning, all that sort of stuff. They're all great. And they all know that I always get a second opinion on everything that they tell me for the most part, because I just want to double check and make sure that there isn't something new or something that they weren't aware of, because everybody can't be aware of everything. And so I would definitely say on the insurance front, make sure you get a second opinion. Just have somebody look and give you their opinion of what you should have. And as long as it's close, okay, great. But if there's something wildly off, we had some coverages that were wildly off this last time, and that was brought to our attention, and so we were able to rectify it. Had we not, it could have been really good. Let's see. Yeah, Kaylin's saying sometimes insurance can, you make a claim, they can pull out and cancel. Yeah, it depends on the situation, and that would be something to kind of talk about with your insurance agent. I know that there are some areas that where companies are not offering homeowners insurance anymore and things like that. So definitely check into that and make sure that wherever you're at, you can get the coverage. If you can't get the coverage that you want, try to find another company that will give it to you. Our agents have been really good. We have one company that does most of our insurance for us, but there were certain earthquake policies that we wanted, certain liability policies that we wanted that our main brand insurance company wouldn't provide, or didn't provide as well as we would have liked. And so we've gone with a different company for those. But having somebody who can see all of those different brands, all of the different options, and provide you with some guidance, I think is really, really valuable. So, all right. So also, if you can tell, I am a bit of a coughing mess. I don't know why I have a cough. I didn't have a cold, but I just developed a cough like 2 weeks ago, and it will not go away. And the more that I talk, the more coughing tends to happen. So I appreciate you guys joining in and hanging with me for this evening's stream. I hope you're all staying safe. I hope you all take the next week or two and do a little review of everything. Hopefully, Tup will be back next week, and we'll have the two of us back on schedule. But appreciate it. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And I will talk. And you know what? If you guys want more of a kind of, I know I've talked about this a little bit, but more of kind of the paper prepping stuff, financial planning ideas, insurance ideas, all of that sort of stuff, let me know in the comments, and I'll see about doing a stream or a couple of videos or something around that. I actually really enjoy that part of it for me, but I know it can also be super boring. I mean, look, everybody likes to watch backpack videos and gear videos, but some of those things are not the most exciting. But if your house is flooded and you don't have the right insurance coverage, it does not matter how many backpacks you have to be able to rebuild your house. And that's the thing I think sometimes people forget. So anyway, have a great night, everybody. We'll see you next week.